Right. So you already were covered, I think 3-4 topics, right?
Yeah,
Four topics. Yeah. So we'll do quick recap. By the way, before we do further, my name is Braja Kripadas. I'm also a teacher along with Damodar Prasad Prabhu in Vedic Culture Center, Samamish. I've been teaching this for last 10 years. Yeah. I'm very happy to join you all today. And because Prabhu is absent this week, I'm covering for him. Next week, Prabhu will be back. Yeah, this is better. Okay, so can someone final remember class is starting? Yeah. So whatever we discuss is all based on Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Prabhu would have discussed the special prerogative of human life. What is the speciality of human life? Let's keep it a little interactive. You can all unmute yourself and speak. Can you all hear me clearly in the online audience?
Yes, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
What is special with human life? What maybe the other living entities like animals, like dogs? Huh?
discriminatory.
They have mind. Even dogs have mind.
Thinking, Prabhuji. Thinking.
Thinking, they can also think. For example, if you put some milk and cat is there.
Discrimination, Prabhuji. Discrimination.
Discrimination, yes. The power of discrimination. Discriminating whether something is right or wrong, right? Discrimination power. And anything else?
And life is all about eating, making, sleeping, depending.
Mhm.
And human life is more than
That. What is that
Unless
more?
we're stuck in this world.
No, yeah, that is true. What is more about human life is asked. One is discrimination. Prabhu mentioned. Humans can discriminate what is right, what is wrong, right? If I
Humans
Hmm?
have the opportunity to live their purpose and go back. to
yeah,
God.
that is true. But before that, what is the ability in human that makes them different? Right? Discrimination is perfect, actually. Right? They can discriminate what is right, what is wrong. Right? If I hit somebody, they will they'll know what is should I stay here or go. They'll decide that. So they know discriminate what is good for me, what is bad for me. They know that. And besides that, they have one more ability. They can question. Dogs don't question, cats don't question, humans question, right? Suppose a dog comes to me and I'm a little angry, I slap it. What will dog do? Bhag jata hai. It runs, or it will bite, right? It will attack me or it will run away. But what if Prabhu comes and I hit him, right? What he will do?
Why did you hit?
He will ask me, why did you hit? So that is human's ability. Questioning is the special ability of human being, right? So that is speciality. So the real prerogative is, by questioning, what do we gain, right? So by questioning, we answer so many things in our life, right? By questioning, by human inquiry, so many things were facilitated to us, right? We question the suffering that exists in this world and we solve those problems, right? All the facilities we have are because of the questions. People ask those questions. Without those questions, we would not have seen the kind of development we see today. But the real ability of questioning is to really question to the origins of our existence. Who are we? Yeah? What are we here for? Yeah? And what this world is all about. Why am I suffering in this world? Right? So those are real questions that will solve the real problems of life. So using these special abilities that humans have, we should rise above the struggle for existence. Struggle for existence means to live in this world, everybody has to eat, sleep, mate, defend. Whether you're an animal or human, doesn't matter. Everyone has to do all these four. So now, but we are not just like an animal. We have a lot more abilities, capabilities, right? We have the questioning ability. We have the power of discrimination. Our life is much more smoother, right? Look at the street dogs in India, right? They have to fight for food. Or any animals, even in the jungle, they also fulfill these four needs: eating, sleeping, mating, defending, but in a very low conditions. But human has much better facility. God has given so many facilities. But if we also stay back in that level like animals, then there is no difference between you and human. We should use our abilities to a better to solve better problems than what animals do, right? So we need to rise, using the special prerogative of human life, we need to rise above the struggle for existence. Otherwise, we'll be just another sophisticated animal, right? So Vedas say, what should we question? We question, so Vedanta Sutras are the summary of entire Vedas, right? Vedas is vast body of wisdom. But in that, the entire wisdom is summarized in these Vedanta Sutras. The final conclusive knowledge of Vedas is given in. It's about 1200 aphorisms, like short formulas. So in these formulas, the entire wisdom of life is given. So the first Vedic aphorism is Athato Brahma Jignasa. What is Athato Brahma Jignasa? What does it mean? Now that you have human body, right? Question who you are, right? Use that human ability to question your existence, right? And inquire into the real problems of life, right? So using that ability, we need to really inquire. So Prabhu would have discussed about real problems. What are real problems? What are the real problems of life? Eating is there, but real problem means a problem that is common to all. Everybody should get it, and nobody wants it. Nobody can avoid it. That is a
Death, Prabhuji. Death, Prabhuji.
death. Nobody wants. मर जाते हैं ना. Nobody wants. Nobody can avoid, and common to all. Everybody has to go through it, right? So death is one problem. Anything else?
Disease, Prabhuji. Disease.
Yeah. Disease. What else?
Old age. Old age.
Old age. Nobody wants. Nobody can avoid. Yeah.
But-
Poverty, some people are poor. Some people are rich. Bill Gates is not poor. Nobody wants to be poor. Yeah, but that is only one condition. I gave three conditions. Common to all. Low common denominator should exist. So yeah. These are the conditions. Birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Right? So these are four real problems that nobody can avoid. Right? And besides this, there are also miseries caused by Adhyatmika, means body and mind, other living entities, nature, right? Adi Bhautika and Adi Daivika. Daivika means nature. Adhyatmika means one's own body and mind. And Adi Bhautika means other living entities. So these are, like, for example, our body, mind can, you may have headache, or you may have disease in the leg or hands somewhere, right? So body will create problems. Similarly, your boss can be a problem, your in-laws can be a problem, other living entities can cause problem. Similarly, nature, right? Earthquakes, tsunamis, rain, so many natural causes, COVID, floods. These are all nature causing problems, right? So these are all real problems. The question is, can we solve real problems of life, right? As a human, yes, we can solve. So that is the whole point of Vedic wisdom. And in general, no one has by default, without taking to a the Vedic process can really solve these problems, right? So no one is able to solve. We can solve other problems like hunger problem. We can work somewhere and can get some salary and solve that problem. But no one can solve these real problems easily. Birth, death, old age, and disease, right? One may ask, why is it designed this way? Why am I supposed to die? Why am I supposed to become old? Nobody wants to become old, but everyone is forced to go. So the real inquiry is, why is everyone in this world really forced to go through all this suffering, right? So we should question like that. Yeah. So this is, I think, the first topic. The next topic would have been, does God exist? It would have been already covered. Who is behind all this? Hmm? To know whether God really, so a lot of people ask, God really exists? How do you know for sure, right? So everything that exists in this world has a creator. Right? This laptop exists because there is a company called Apple. Right? This house is constructed because there are people, companies who build this home. So everything that exists in this world has a creator. Then what about human beings? You may say your father is the creator. Okay, your father has a father, father has a father, father, but it has to begin with someone, right? I mean, science can give some science can give some random reasons, but yeah. So, but who created this? Who created this very intelligent human being, right? So there must be some creator that has created this. So creation implies creator, laws imply lawmaker. Every law that exists, right, has to be created by someone. And nothing orderly happens by chance in this world, right? So if you see, so much orderliness is there in this world, right? Seasons come at at a very particular interval. There is day and night, right? There is so many cycles in this existence, perfect cycles. So who actually operates these cycles, right? So there must be an operator behind all of this. We may not understand who that operator by its operation, but there must be one. Yeah. So we define that, the person who brings the orderliness in this existence, to we define that as God, right? So we should have a common definition of God before we discuss further about God. So how we define God? God is the supreme source of everything. If he has a source, then we cannot call that, that becomes the God, right? So he is the supreme source of everything. He must be the supreme controller. If there is a bigger controller than God, then that becomes God. So by definition, God should be the supreme controller of all existence. And he must be the supreme proprietor, right? And the supreme enjoyer. Supreme is the highest of all, right? If anybody in this world has even one little characteristic of this, right? Somebody who is a big proprietor, he is very attractive in this world. But God is the supreme of everything, source of everything, supreme proprietor, supreme enjoyer, supreme controller. So he is the most attractive person in this existence. So that is the definition of God. One should know about God. And how do we know about? There are methods of acquiring knowledge. One is pratyaksha praman, or direct perception, right? Through our senses, through our eyes, through our ears, through our nose. We acquire knowledge in this world. That is pratyaksha. And then there is anuman. Anuman means using your mind, right? You'd get the data from all the senses and then process it further with your mind, and you come to newer conclusions based on the data that you already have. So that is Anuman Praman, Pratyaksha Praman, Anuman Praman. And then finally, Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman means by hearing. Yeah. Hearing, for example, if I want to know who my father is, who is the best authority? My mother is the best authority. So that is the Shabda Praman. So these are the various ways of acquiring knowledge, right? There are defects possible in Pratyaksha and Anuman because they are based on senses. But Shabda Praman is perfect because, for example, if I want to know who my father is, I can do DNA, but the scope is too much, right? How can I find my father, who my father is? But if my mother tells, that's the easiest way, right? So Vedas are like Shabda Praman, right? Vedic knowledge is given by God, and so it is perfect. Pratyaksha is like our scientific discoveries, right? Whatever we acquire in this world is all through inquiry in this existence, right? Through experimentation. That's why we see science go through so many editions, right? The same knowledge goes through, advancement. So you see so many newer and newer editions of books, newer and newer editions of knowledge. So Pratyaksha Praman is never conclusive or perfect. Because Anuman is an extension of Pratyaksha, because it depends on Pratyaksha. Anuman is also not perfect. Shabda is considered perfect because it is, the sound directly coming from the source, authority to source. Vedas is the Shabda Praman. So Vedas are considered the highest body of knowledge, right? What does Vedas have, right? It describes the absolute truth, who is absolute truth, and it stood the test of time. These are the characteristics of Vedas. For example, Newton laws were no more true as of today. Newton laws is a subset of now the knowledge that was explained by Einstein. Right? So Einstein theory of relativity is an expanded knowledge that explains things that were not explained by Newton's laws of motion, physics, right? So the physical laws that Newton gave did not work in certain circumstances in the macroscopic world as well as microscopic world. When Einstein came up with theory of relativity, it perfectly worked with both the regular world as well as microscopic and macroscopic world. So in that way, the knowledge keeps expanding from time to time. And there will be definitely future knowledge that is beyond what Einstein gave, also will come true in some time. So Vedas, on the other side, it is the same. Knowledge has never changed. It stood the test of time, right? Bhagavad Gita slokas are the same as it is since 5,000 years ago, right? And there are different scriptures, but the essence is all same. There is Bible for Christians, there is Quran for Islamic religion, and then there is Bhagavad Gita, and there is Guru Granth Sahib, right? So all these books are there, but the essence is same. What do they teach? What do they teach? Primarily, the essence of all the Vedas are how to love God. That is the ultimate, right? God is the supreme controller. We are not the controller, and to love God is the highest knowledge, right? Even in all religions, the same wisdom is given. The summary of Vedas is given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. And then the next topic was who am I? It was covered, right? Who am I? And yeah, so Prabhu would have discussed the proof of existence of the soul. I'll not go into the topic further. We are actually not this physical body. We are spirit soul. Right? We are spiritual in nature in the material body. Right? How do you know? It's very easy. Nobody wants to die, right? Anybody wants to die? No. Where is the desire to not die coming from? Our body is physical matter. That desire is coming, from the soul. right? We always want to be happy. Where is that coming from? The soul. So in this way, we behave the way we behave because of the soul within of us, within this body. That is the real self. And the soul's characteristics are: it is indestructible, individual, eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss. It goes through various bodies while existing in this material world. Yeah. Modern civilization more or less forgets the existence of soul. We all know. It only takes care of body, right? How to earn money and how to enjoy life, right? Enjoy life through the body. So that's all the focus of modern civilization is. It is like you have a you have a bird in the cage and you are polishing the cage but never feeding the bird. What happens to the bird? It will starve and die. So similarly, we have a multi.
Where is the story from?
This is
Like polished the cage and never fed and she had body. Where is the story from?
I don't know the origin.
Okay.
Yeah, I can find about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So similarly, in the modern civilization, people are having so many riches, but still they are going through a lot of depression, anxieties, not very happy because of lack of good relationships, right? Loneliness. Why all these problems exist in spite of having better facilities materially? It's because of forgetfulness of the soul, right? We have multi-level existence. We have this gross body. We have subtle body, which consists of mind, intelligence, and ego. Yeah, three things, right? The thinking ability comes from mind, the discrimination ability comes from intelligence, the identity comes from ego. So these things exist in our subtle body, and then our true identity is the soul, the real self. So we have this three-level existence: physical body, subtle body, and this soul. Three-level existence. We take care in the material world. In the modern civilization takes care of physical body, feeds the body, nicely takes care, combs the body, and takes care of all the bodily needs, but it is not taking care of the mind as well as the soul. If you starve anything, what happens? It will have its own effect, right? If you don't take care of your soul, it will have its effect. So that is the reason people go through anxiety, stress, depression, suicidal tendencies. They all are happening because people are not taking care of the needs of the subtle body as well as the spirit soul. Just like case polishing civilization, right? So our goal as part of this course is to inculcate the importance of knowing and knowledge of the soul and nurture the soul. So that is the goal of this whole topic. So today, yeah. So far we discussed about the privilege of human body, real problems of life, and also we discussed about the identity, right? Our true identity, and the existence of whether God really exists. Logically we learned about all those concepts. Now, the next topic is, if God exists, the next logical question is, who is God? Bhagwan kaun hai? Yeah. If I ask you who is God, what will you answer? Prabhu? If I ask you,
The creator of the universe.
huh?
The
Creator of the.
universe.
That's a good answer. Yes. Yeah.
Destroyer, Prabhuji. Destroyer.
Huh?
Destroyer.
Destroyer of the universe. Okay. Yeah, that is true. Prabhu? Energy.
Testament. Maintainer, Prabhuji. Maintainer.
Maintainer, yes, maintainer of everybody. Yes.
నేను పెట్టాను అది క్లోజ్
You have anything to say, Prabhu? Who is God? Just in your, it doesn't need to meet any definition. Just what do you think is God? Order supplier, yeah. Because a lot of people go to temple only to ask something. Order supplier. Programmer. Yeah, he's the programmer for the whole.
గాడ్ ఈజ్ ఫాదర్
God is Father. Yeah, He's Supreme Father. Yes. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Generally, if you ask any random person, everybody has a definition of God, right? So we'll discuss who is God and who are the Devatas. We hear about Devatas, right? Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Agni. Yeah. So who are these Devatas?
They are parts of the God, Prabhuji. They are parts of the body of the God.
Yes, yes, that's true. Yeah, they're parts of God. Yeah, we'll discuss more. So many people in India especially have this confusion. Like all gods are same. That is their understanding. Right? We'll discuss that topic. Are all gods the same? Like Vinayaka, Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Agni, Shiva. Are all the same or are they different? Right? So we'll discuss that. And what about us? What is our relation with God? We'll discuss that as well. What is our inherent nature, right? In relation with God. Right? So who is God? If anyone asks, some say God is light. Some say God is some power. Like I think Prabhu was saying that. Some say God is a person. But who is actually God? So now we understand Vedic, various ways of acquiring knowledge. We understand, we have the faith in the Vedic wisdom as the supreme source of knowledge. It is the Shabda Praman. So let's hear what is the definition of God from Vedas, right? So Vedas, before that, if you see any organization like say Microsoft, a big company, which is spread in 100 plus countries in its operations and business. If you take any company like this, it has so many branches all over the world, correct? It has branches in Canada, United States, Caribbean, Central America, South America, Africa, everywhere. There are so many offices, right? So any well-managed company like Microsoft will have operations all around the world. So behind all this organization, right now maybe Satyanadalla, but there is one person who is organizing the whole thing. Even though he may not be there in every office, who is the overall manager of everything? There is one person, one CEO or one creator of the company, right? So similarly, in this nature, we see so many planets wonderfully manifest. Did we ever ask who created all these planetary systems so perfectly rotating, right? Orderly, as if sun, every day we may miss, but he never misses to come and, rise at fixed time, correct? So orderly, so perfect, right? So there is such orderliness and there is such manifestation in this world. Who created all this existence, right? So who is behind all this gigantic manifestation? Similarly, we see man-made organization. For example, for any country, you have the president, underneath there is Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Defense, at country level, state level, county level, and city level, right? So all these ministries exist to take care of facilitating, human life for a better standards. So similarly, if you see, so just like in the man-made government, there is Home Department, Defense Department, Finance Department, power supply, health, education, domestic supply, hygiene, rewards for best citizens. All this exists, right? Like we have Bharat Ratna, for example, for the best people in the world, in the country, in India. So just like there are all these, there is a universal government parallelly happening. We may not realize, but that exists. Just like Home Department punishes people who violate the state law, there is law of karma, right? If you violate the law, you will get punishment in this world, right? If you drink, what happens? You'll get hangover, headache, and liver damage, right? So there is a huh?
Consequence of everything.
There is a consequence for every action that we perform. If you shout at a person, he will give you back sometime, right? It naturally happens. So we all know there is a law of karma that naturally exists in the universal government. Similarly, if we have a defense system for the country, there is a there is a Ministry of Defense, and there are so many soldiers protecting the country. That's why we are safe. Similarly, there is a natural defense system in the universal government, like ozone layer. Otherwise, we would all get UV rays cancer, right? Immune system in the body. There are protection systems. We all have nails and claws for animals, right? So there is such a natural defense system in the universal government. There is Ministry of Finance in the regular government. Similarly, there is reserves like precious metals in the universal government, gold, silver, pearls, right? Which are all precious. Just like there is power supply, right? During the daytime, what is our power supply? Sun, yeah, wind, water. These are natural supplies that exist from the universal government. Can we exist without any of this?
Hmm.
Sun, air, without air.
No. No,
And-
Prabhuji, no.
No water, no living entity, right? So these are part of universal government facilitated to us. Similarly, there is health department in the man-made government. Similarly, there is Ayurveda and naturopathy. So many natural medicines available in the nature which can cure diseases, correct? Ayurveda is all based on that. So there are herbs that will cure diseases. Similarly, there is education in the modern education that will teach you how to, how to become a computer scientist or, electrical engineer. So similarly, there are Vedas and scriptures that will, that give us the purpose of life, the reason for existence, and how we can happily live in this world, right? So that is given by universal government. There is a domestic supply, right? So similarly, there are rains, grains, fruits naturally given to us by God in the universal government, right? Without grains, without rain, without fruits, we cannot even live for a minute. For a few days also we can't live. So similarly, there is hygiene and sanitation, right? So there is rainfall, right? That cleanses naturally. Sunlight dries up all the garbage in this existence, right? Without that, we cannot have. If there is only rainfall all the time, everything will stink, right? We can't even dry our clothes. But there is natural sunlight that's that dries up, removes all bad odors, and cleans the entire universe. Similarly, there are rewards for best citizens like Bharat Ratna, Padma awards, like that, right? In the government. Similarly, people get different living conditions. Somebody is born to Mukesh Ambani. He doesn't need to work hard. Already is a billionaire. Somebody is born in a higher, heavenly planets. Somebody has a beautiful body. So these are all universal government rewards. Right? So we can see how there is a universal government parallel to the human government, right? So these are all pointing to the higher power. There is a universal government, right? That exists. Yeah. This is, Bhagavad Gita is the source of all spiritual knowledge. Yeah. So now we want to depend on the knowledge given in Bhagavad Gita because so what does Bhagavad Gita say about God, right? It says Lord Krishna is that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you may wonder, Prabhu, up till now you spoke everything logically. Suddenly, why are you introducing Krishna as God? Right? So now we have faith in Vedas. We have seen how universal government exists. Now we'll see how the knowledge of Gita corroborates with whatever we discussed so far. Means how knowledge of Gita actually explains what we discussed so far, right? So in Gita, Lord Krishna is established as the Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. We'll see what that means. So the definition of Bhagavan, just God, is, we already defined it. He is the supreme creator, supreme controller, supreme enjoyer, and supreme source of everything, or the original source of everything, who has no other source. This is the definition. Now let's see whether Krishna fits this definition. Then only we can say Krishna is God. We have a definition, and we need to see whether the personality we take actually fits in that definition, correct? Then we can logically say, yeah, whether Krishna is God or not, right? So Bhagavad Gita declares Lord Krishna as that Bhagavan in various verses. We'll see which verses actually corroborate this truth, right? So Bhagavad Gita 10.8 says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam budha bhava samanvitaha. What does that mean? I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. This talks about the source, the supreme source of everything, or the original, the beginning of everything. Krishna clearly state this in 10.8. So supreme source is understood. Supreme creator. How is Krishna the supreme creator? Prakritiya swam avapnobhya visrijame punah punah bhutagravam imam krishnam avasya prakrite vachat. Yeah. So Krishna says, under my will, the whole universe is automatically manifested again and again. Under my will, it is annihilated at the end. It shows how Krishna is the supreme controller. And how Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam jnatva mam santi mrichati. Bhoktaram. Bhoktaram means I am the supreme enjoyer of what? Yajna tapasam. For all the performance of yajna and tapas that people perform, people in this world perform tapas, right? And they perform yajnas. And Krishna says, Bhoktaram, I am the supreme enjoyer of all the yajnas and tapasas people perform. And who am I? Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Mahesh. Ish means controller. Mahesh means, so yeah, Mahi means actually earth, right? Maheshwara means who is the supreme controller of planet, right? Sarva Loka. Actually, he's not only Mahesh of this earth, he is actually Maheshwara of all the planets, right? Suhridam Sarva Bhutana. He is the best well-wishing person. Suhrida means the best well-wishing friend of who? Sarva Bhutana. Bhutana means living entities. Sarva means all living entities, whether it is humans, ants, animals, anybody. So he is the well-wishing person for all the living entities. Nyatva mam santim richati. One who understands this, he will be very peaceful in his life. Santim richati. Yeah. So a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the supreme benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. No more material miseries for him. And another words, aham hi sarva yajnana bhokta cha prabhureva cha natumam abhijanati tatvena taschaya chavanti te. I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So this is another verse that talks about Krishna's supremacy. Yeah, how Krishna is the original source. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Sarva Karana Karana means he is the cause of all causes. Anadir Adir Govinda. Anadir means he doesn't have any beginning. Adir, he is the beginning. Right? Govinda. Satchidananda Vigraha. He has a form that is Sat Chit Ananda, right? Eternal, full of knowledge and full of happiness or bliss. So that is Krishna. So he is the original source, Sarva Karana Karanam. Yeah. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme Godhead. He is an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He has an eternal spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the prime cause of all causes. This is from Brahma Samhita. This is the prayers of Lord Brahma to Lord Vishnu. Yeah. So this is another definition of God from Vishnu Purana 6.5.47. So who gave this definition? Parashar Muni, who is the father of Vyasadeva, gave this definition. What does it say? Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yasasa sriya jnana vairagyayos sannam bhaga iti ingana. Bhagavan means who possesses these 6 opulences in full. One definition is supreme creator, maintainer, controller, enjoyer. The second definition is one who possesses 6 opulences in full, means nobody has any more opulences than him, right? What are the opulences? Aishwarya, all riches, all strength, all influence, nobody more influential than Krishna or God, all wisdom, all beauty, all renunciation. Now we'll see how Krishna fits this definition also. Then we know from both definitions of God, Krishna fits both, and so we can say accept Krishna as God. Otherwise, we won't accept, right? We won't accept Krishna because we like him, or we like his blue color, or his pastimes. No, not because of that. Because the definition of God very well fits with him. That is the reason we accept logically. Otherwise, anyone can claim themselves to be God. If somebody claims, now we can ask, okay, show me your 6 opulences. Please lift Govardhan hill. Yeah. Or show how you are this supreme source of everything. So we don't accept any.
If you're asking, that means it's not all influence anyways.
Yeah.
If you're questioning in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. So now we'll see the second definition. So Krishna, when he was in this world, when he came to Vrindavan, right? he established about 16,000 palaces in Dwarka, all equally opulent, right? In which, in each of these, he is personally attended to his wife. He was available to his wife all the time. It's not like, okay, he's with one wife and not the other. So he was always there with each of the wives simultaneously. So we can see how he's the richest person in that sense. Right? So he is the source of all strength. He single-handedly, what did Krishna lift? Govardhan, right? So, and how did he lift it? With his pinky. Yeah. Left hand and pinky. Pinky is the weakest finger in the hand. And for him, it is like nothing. It's like cotton swab, right? So he lifted with his pinky. We can see clearly how his strength is unlimited. I mean, he maintains the universes in their position. What to speak of lifting a small mountain? This is nothing for him, right? Effortlessly he lifts. Yeah. And then he is all famous. Bhagavad Gita is known all over the world, for example, right? Who doesn't know about Bhagavad Gita? Go to any country, everywhere Krishna's fame is spread through the wisdom of Gita. And he is the source of all beauty, right? It is described, he always looks like a 16-year-old blooming youth boy, always. Even when he was fighting, when he was part of the Kurukshetra war, his age is almost, I think, around 80s or 90s. Okay. But at the time, he is like 16-year-old boy still. So that shows his Navayavvanamcha. It's mentioned as, his beauty is mentioned as Navayavvanam. He's always ever youthful. Yeah. And all knowledge. You can see how he's the source of all knowledge. He gave the highest knowledge. Just in 2 hours, he spoke entire Gita back to back. It takes a lifetime to really understand and apply Bhagavad Gita in our life. But he just spoke like that. Right? And it is consummation of all the wisdom in all the Vedas. There is nothing better in all the Vedas more than the wisdom spoken by Krishna in this Bhagavad Gita. Right? So we can understand how he is the supreme source of all knowledge and all renunciation. Right? We can see how, even though he is the source of everything, he never, even when he was in this world, he never claimed to be the king. He made, Ugrasena as the king, or, Yudhishthira Maharaj as the king. When he was there, like, who can be better the king than Krishna? When Krishna is there, right? Who can be better king than Krishna? Well, he doesn't care. He's just came to, live for the satisfaction of his devotees. And in the war also, he can just kill everybody, like with his thought itself, he can kill everyone. But he gave all the glory to Arjuna as the, greatest fighter in the Kurukshetra. So he is always fully renounced, right? He had 16,000 wives, but they're all actually devotees. Just to satisfy their devotion, he married all of them, but he was never attached to anyone. So he's supreme source of, he's the supremely renunciant. He's the most renounced person, actually. Yeah. So he has all these majestic qualities. He's the supreme creator, supreme proprietor, supreme knower, supreme enjoyer. And he is the source of all riches, strength, fame, knowledge, beauty, renunciation. If someone has any of these qualities, even in little bit, they become very famous. Somebody is very beautiful, only beauty is there. They become, Miss World, Aishwarya Rai. Everybody, likes to, see them. Somebody is maybe controller of a country, like a president. Everybody treats him specially. And anybody has even a little opulence for a short period of time in this world, they become very famous. But here is Krishna, who is the supreme on all, creator, proprietor, knower, enjoyer. But at the same time, and he has this eternally. It's not like he has for some time and he's taken away. It makes him, is that all needed to make him very attractive? Is that all? Will you be attracted just by these qualities? If somebody is rich,
Relationship.
yeah, we want relationship. So there are other qualities of sweetness that Krishna has. That's what makes him the most cherished person. What are they? He's the sweetest of all, right? We can see the pastimes when Krishna was here in the material world. How he would steal the butter from his neighbors, right? How he would play with his cowherd boys in the forest, how they would go and play with the cows and the gopis. So very loving person. He would take care of everybody. Even he would call even monkey by its name, right? Dadi Loba. Or he calls, he takes care of every one of their friend. He's the best friend to all his Gopa boys, right? He's a very loving and lovable person. And he's the most perfect friend, son, right? For Yashoda and Nanda, he's the perfect son. Right? He took care of them nicely and they were always cherishing him, his presence. He's the best friend for Gopal and he's the best husband for all his, thousands of wives, right? He's the best lover. So he is the sweetest person, right? So he's the real hero, my sweet Lord, Krishna. So not just majestic qualities, he also has the relishable sweet qualities, right? He is the Bhakta Vatsala. Bhakta Vatsala means one who
Gives himself.
gives himself to his devotees, right? Can anybody tell any stories where he gave himself? Any story, anything that you, Sudama, yeah. In Sudama life, Sudama is his best childhood friend. First thing is, even though he becomes the king of Dwarka, he doesn't forget his friend, right? When he comes, how did he receive him?
Washed.
He washed his feet. Who would wash? Which rich person would wash his, person who is of the quality of, they won't even open the door, right? But here is Krishna, the supreme lord of all existence, ready to wash the friend's feet. And Lakshmi Devi or Rukmini would fan Sudama. Imagine the life. So that is the greatness of a devotee. Actually, a devotee can become so close to Krishna that even Lakshmi Devi is ready to serve him. Right? And then Arjuna, to Arjuna, he is the best friend. Right? At one point, Bhishma takes a vow, okay, today I'll kill all these Pandavas. Right? Krishna becomes more. Huh?
He breaks his promise at that time.
Yeah.
That I will not fight in the war, but it goes the deal at this time.
Yeah. So the night before Arjuna, first Duryodhana, I'll just give a brief idea of the story. Duryodhana goes to Bhishma. Pitamaha, you are partial to Pandavas, that's why they are not dying. Otherwise, who is a competition for you? There is nobody as strong as you. In fact, that is the truth because he, Bhishma is so strong. He withheld Parshuram. He withheld Shiva. He's like nobody. Actually, in the whole battlefield, he's the most formidable opponent, right? But so when Duryodhana goes to Bhishma and says this, he says, "No, I have no partiality. If Krishna is on the other side, what hope do you think we can have?" He tells that straight on the face. See, if the destiny of the will is on the other side, what are we talking about our winning? Right? He said, Duryodhana never believed Krishna's supremacy as God. He thought, he's just a powerful person and magician, like that. He was always thinking, yeah, okay, I'll give my best because you're saying this. I'll go and try my best. And in fact, he says, Duryodhana, take these 5 arrows. These are the 5 arrows I'll use to kill tomorrow all the Pandavas. Done deal. Duryodhana very happily takes and packs him. And, okay, I'll preserve this. He'll put it in a sealed bag. And then Krishna understands, Krishna is Antaryami for everybody. He knows what is happening here. Okay, Krishna becomes a little anxious. Okay, let's do something to fix this problem now. Arjuna go and ask Duryodhana for 5 arrows. He doesn't tell what's the story behind. Then Arjuna goes to Duryodhana's camp. In those days, everybody was in camps. And after the war is over, there is no enmity. They would go meet each other, eat together. There is no enmity, right? So he goes there to Duryodhana's camp tent. Duryodhana receives happily and asks him, "Hey, what do you want? If you want, I'll give you the entire kingdom, man. We don't need to fight." And then he says, "No, I don't want kingdom. We'll fight and see who will win. But then give me those 5 arrows." Duryodhana's feathers blow off. How did this guy know about this? It was such a secret. It's just a secret between the two of us. Then he goes to Bhishma and asks, somehow these guys come to know, and I have to give them because there was a promise I made. Actually, Duryodhana makes a promise before this. There was a Gandharva war when he gets defeated, and at that time Arjuna protects Duryodhana. So at that time, Duryodhana says, I'll give you boon. Whatever you ask, I'll fulfill. Arjuna says, I'll ask you at the right time. So he will ask that boon. He's not taking any favor here. So he's just fulfilling his boon. So Arjuna goes and asks for this boon, and he has to give back because that's a boon to him. So then he goes to Bhishma and tells, "Aapne jo diya wo chala gaya abhi." So then he understands this Natkar Krishna only did all this. Nobody else can do this. He is the only person. Okay, then I'll do something tomorrow for him. So actually, Bhishma is who? He's the greatest devotee of Lord. He's just in the other party to teach a lesson to the world. But otherwise, he has no, enmity towards Krishna. Just Krishna installed him on the other side to teach a lesson that if you are on the wrong side, no matter how strong you are, you will be destroyed. That is the lesson Krishna wanted to teach through him. So that was the only lesson for which he is there on the other side. So next day war begins. Bhishma was extremely ferocious. So ferocious, Arjuna loses, almost like he's almost, loses his Gandiva, and almost falls off the Ratha, and he's almost surrendering. And, next thing is Bhishma is going to shoot the final arrow, and the war is ending soon. At that time, Krishna becomes really anxious. And in the beginning, he already promised, I am not going to open any war. Like, I'm not going to participate in this war, use any weapon. He already promised that. But for his devotee, he broke the promise. Right? So that's why he's called Bhakta Vatsala. For his devotee, he is ready to break. So that's why he says in Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya Pradijaneti Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Arjuna, go and boldly declare, my devotee will never perish in this existence. Anybody can perish, but my devotee will never perish. Who will give such assurance? I will not say
Because-
myself because I can break my promise. But my devotee, whatever I give, I will keep the promise for sure, right? I'll never break the promise I give to my devotee, right? So, so he is most lovable person for that reason, right? He's the best friend, he's the son, and the best husband, best lover for all. So that is the reason, the most important reasons why Lord Krishna is so enchanting for everyone, right? With these qualities, right? So, yeah. So now we understand the nature of God, right? So we all understand God is everywhere. What is this feature of God called? It's called Brahman. Brahman means pervasive existence of God, all pervasive existence, right? God exists everywhere. That's called Brahman. God has multi-level existence. One is this Brahman. Brahman means actually pure consciousness, right? Pure awareness, right? Pure consciousness. And then within each atom, he exists as Paramatma. Andantarasya paramanu chayantarastam means he exists as Paramatma in every atom and in between atoms, right? We all know, right? Even electrons or protons, they move. Who is moving them? One may ask. The movement is because of the existence of God, right? So, Charachara Jagat, everything is moving because of the presence of Paramatma within it. So God is in you and me, God is everywhere in the form of Paramatma, right? And God also separately exists as Bhagavan, right? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said. So just to understand this example, how God exists at this multiple levels, there is one sun, right? So that sun is producing so much light, right, everywhere. And suppose you put 10 bottles of water, right? In each bottle, what do you see? Under the sunlight, if you keep, you see the image of sun in each bottle, correct? So that existence within each bottle is like Paramatma, right? So the same God that exists reflected in each heart in the form of Paramatma. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So he exists as Paramatma in the heart of every living entity. Just like sunlight is spread all over the world, right? He exists as in the form of Brahman everywhere, right? So exists in the form of Brahman, the energy that exists all over the existence. That's called Brahman, as we discussed. And also there is a source for all of this, just like there is a source sun. Within the sun also there is actually Vivaswan. Yeah, sun god by the name Vivaswan. Yeah, just like there is a sun god Vivaswan behind the sun planet, there is the supreme source Krishna exists separately from all of this. From him comes Paramatma that exists in every body, and from him comes the Brahman that is all pervading the whole existence. Everything is within Krishna. So we'll see with sloka. So there is this beautiful sloka that says, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyaktamutina. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. This is about Brahman or Paramatma? This is
Unmanifested form is known.
Brahman. Yeah, this is Brahman. So Krishna manifests in the form of Brahman all over the existence. In fact, it is said that the sun reflects light, right? Sun produces light. This light that is reflected is actually the Jyoti coming from Brahman. The Brahma Jyoti is reflected by the sun as the sunlight. Yeah. So one may ask, so if Krishna is all pervading, does he lose his own identity? He does not. Yeah. Just like the sun, sun's energy is pervading all our existence. Doesn't mean sun loses its identity. Right? So matstani sarva bhutani nachaham te swavastita. All beings are in me, but I'm not in them. I'm not in them means I'm not manifest in the form of Bhagavan. I manifest in the form of Paramatma, but not in the form of Bhagavan. Right? So, yeah. So he retains his individuality. Nachamatstani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram bhuta brinna cha bhutasto mamatma bhuta bhavana. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence, although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. So this also talks about the source of all existence as Krishna. He is the maintainer of all living entities. So who is maintaining all of us? It's actually Krishna. Although I'm everywhere, I'm not part of this cosmic manifestation. He is outside, but still maintaining all the living entities. Yeah. How he maintains everything? Mattaha param taram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protram sutre manigana iva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung upon a thread. Right? You see a pearl necklace, you see pearls, but you don't see the thread in between, right? You don't see the thread. So all this manifestation exists. We don't see Krishna with our naked eye, but he is the one who is orchestrating everything behind. Right? Just like a pearl necklace exists only because there is a thread in between, but the very existence of thread is invisible. So similarly, the whole existence is manifest by Krishna, but nowhere for the naked eye is he visible. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't exist. Right? Yeah. Krishna is a person. Many people have difficulty understanding Krishna's personality because when we consider ourselves as a person, right, we have limited sight, we can see so much, we can do so much, we live for so long. As soon as we consider Krishna is also another person, maybe he also has same limitation. He can see certain things, he can hear only certain results, he has a certain lifetime. We impose our idea of human on God, superimpose our qualities on God, but he is not that. He is not, he comes in the form of God, he comes in the human form, but does not mean he is limited by human limitations, right? So he says in one sloka that people unintelligently, muda, means unintelligently think that I am like one of them, but actually I'm not one of them. I am this.
Fools deride me when it-
Yeah, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. People think I am also like one of them, or maybe some, some person with additional abilities than me. No, he's not a human. He apparently appears like human, but he's far above and beyond human limitations. Okay? You can see all the verses, the definition so far we discussed. Apparently, he appears like human being when he's in this material world, but he's not like one of us, right? Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya vyavasya cha sasvatasya cha dharmasya sukasya cha. And I'm the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So he's saying Brahman is I am the source of Brahman. Krishna's expansions. So these are the, how Krishna and other forms of Krishna exist together in the existence. So Krishna first expands in the form of, so this is a very detailed description. The whole idea is, so from the original source, Krishna is called Shamarupa Krishna. From him comes, Vaibhav Prakasha. Vaibhav Prakasha is his own bodily features, like his brother Balaram is an immediate expansion. Is called Vaibhav Prakash, right? From Balaram, there are Vilasa and Swamsa expansions, right? Vilasa expansions are the Chaturvyuha expansions, mainly in Vaikuntha planets, right? And then from there, there is Prabhava and Vaibhava Vilasas, right? Chaturvyuha Vishnu forms are like the Vasudeva, Shankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha forms are there. So these are basically Vaikuntha forms of Vishnu that comes from, in the Vilasa expansions. And similarly, there are Swamsa expansions, like when he comes to this world to perform various leelas, like Matsya Avatar, Kurma Avatar, Guna Avatar, Manvantar avatars, and Saktyavis avatars, Yuga avatars. Bor is also one incarnate. It's a Kurma.
Oh, that's good. No,
Yeah.
Kurma is tortoise.
Kurma is tortoise. Varaha.
Varaha.
Varaha. Yeah. Varaha. So all those called Leela avatars. There are many avatars actually. Leela avatar, Purusha avatar, Guna avatar, Shaktavesa, Manvantra avatar, Yuga avatars. These are various avatars.
So
Within-
Lord Ram is the Yuga avatar.
Yes, Lord Rama is Yuga avatar, specifically for, yeah. So he is specifically for Treta Yuga. Yeah, Treta Yuga.
So even in this thing, when Krishna came, like did his pastime, one Krishna who went outside of Vrindavan was a different avatar.
Vasudev Krishna, we call him. Yeah, yeah.
And
So
Vasudeva Krishna is the Balaram expansion. Or
no,
this-
he is Krishna
no, like
only.
you said, the Vilas expansion, you just mentioned Vasudeva playing here also, no?
Yeah, that is Prabhava Prakash. Prabhava Prakash is Krishna's expansions.
Okay.
Vaibhava is when Balaram, from Balaram comes all the Vishnu incarnations, all the, Swamsa, all the Leela avatars, Narasimha, Vamana,
Okay.
all the Vishnu avatars, Rama.
So this is
Rama
the-
also comes in the Leela avatar, expansions, yeah. There are Vishnu incarnations, Mahavishnu,
Mhm.
and then Narayana,
Yeah.
and then, all the various Vaikuntha Vishnus. They're all, Prabhu Vilasas, Vilas avatars.
What is this one written? One is Vilas and what is the other one? Shyam.
Which one?
This under Balaram avatar, only one is Vilas and the other umbrella, what is?
Prabhu Vilas.
This one.
This part is Vilas,
So the.
other part. Under seventh Bhagavatam, something is there.
Swamsa.
Swamsa, yeah. Swamsa means his own amsas.
Okay.
Amsa means parts.
Parts.
Swamsa is all the avatars. Leela, Purusha. Purusha avatar is mainly the Karanodaksai Vishnu, Mahavishnu, who created this whole existence. That's all amsas. Amsa means parts.
So is Purusha avatar same as the one, which one is that? In the Veda, the first, in Bhagavatam, the first canto, there's about this, the big.
Mahavishnu, from whose navel comes the lotus. That one?
That The arm is
Maha-
something, the
ah,
eye
ah,
is
ah, ah, ah.
something, what is it called, Purush something?
That is in second canto.
Second time,
yeah.
okay,
So yeah, so that is called universal form. Universal form of the Lord.
So
Yeah.
that is which category?
That is actually it should come in Purusha avatars. Should be in the Purusha category. Actually not Purusha. I think I'll confirm that. Yeah, it is less than Purusha because Purusha is actually direct Amsa of Vishnu. Yeah, that is material manifestation only. So I don't think it is Purusha avatar.
What is it?
Material manifestation. It's not like spiritual manifestation. Yeah,
It's
the
what
one-
this, it's like a creation.
Yeah, creation.
of this world.
Correct. Yeah. So, yeah. So there are Leela avatars, Matsya, Kurma, Ramachandra, Narsimha, Vamana, Varaha. There are Purusha avatars. There are Guna avatars, Sakyavas avatars, Manvantra avatars, Yuga avatars. You have to. Yeah. But the source is all Supreme Lord Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Right? So now we understand when we speak about different gods, right? Actually, it's not like they're all equally powerful gods manifest. It's actually sourced in one personality. They're all various expansions or expansions of the expansions, right? It's not like they're all operating independently. They're all dependent on the source. The source is actually Krishna. Any questions on what we discussed so far? Nothing, we can move. Yeah. So the 10 the incarnations we discussed, right? The Buddha, Krishna Balaram, Rama, Parshurama, Vamana, Narsimha, Varaha, right? So all these incarnations, Matsya, they're all incarnations of Leela avatars actually, right? It's called Swamsa avatars, right? So all these avatars. So in Bhagavatam, first canto, third chapter, it is given, Ete chamsa kalapumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. What does it mean? So there are about 20 plus incarnations described in the Bhagavatam third canto, but this verse clarifies the position of Krishna versus everybody else. After mentioning all the incarnation, this verse says, all the above mentioned incarnations, like Rama, Narsimha, all those are already discussed. This verse says, all the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions, means parts or parts of the parts of Lord, of the Lord, of the Lord. But Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Krishna is the original personality of God. Krishna is the source, and everybody else is part and parcel of Krishna. Right? So why this verse is like so? So, for example, you attend a banquet, right? So there is, there is a president and all the ministers there, for example, right? Suppose somebody is introducing all these people to another countryman, right? They say, so he is Minister of Finance, he is Minister of Defense, he is Minister of Home. You'll say all of that. He is Minister. But when it comes to president, what do you say? They're all ministers, but he is the president. Right? Like that, when the word but comes, the context changes. So here in this verse also, all the incarnations, all of these are incarnation, but Krishna is the supreme incarnation. He's the supreme source of all incarnations. Right? So that is how it's, but Krishna is the original personality of God. If you read that verse, it says there's a clear distinction between incarnations and Krishna, very clearly. Yeah. So now, what is the relation between Krishna and other demigods? Right? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Name vidhu suragana prabhavam na maharshaya aham adirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvasa. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods. Krishna says this. So not even all these demigods know about my source, right? Or neither the opulences, because I am the source. If I am the source of someone, how will they know more about me? Right? So aham adirhi devanam. I am the beginning of all the devas. Right? So the relation between the demigods like Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Agni, Lord Shiva, Brahma, is that Lord Krishna is the source of all of these personalities. Ishtan Bogan hi wo deva dasyante yajna bhavita tair datta apradayabhyo yo bhunte stena evasa. In charge, what is the duty of these devatas? What do they do? Right? So he's saying, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 3.12, in charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods like Indra, Varuna, Vayu, being satisfied with the performance of yajna, sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So so what is mentioned here is the relation between the jivas and the demigods. What is the duty of demigods? They are the suppliers of all the necessities. We need rain, we need air, we need sunlight, right? We take all of that for free. But if we don't respect them, is that justified? We need to respect those who give us. For example, we go on the roads, but we pay tax. Every year we pay annual tax, with which all these roads are maintained nicely, and we right. So what is the tax we pay? We are paying to the sunlight, moonlight. We are not paying any tax. Huh? Yeah? Rain. Yeah. We get all this for free. So the payment for them is performance of yajna. That is what the Vedas teach. You perform yajna. Right? How do you perform yajna in this age? The easiest is chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's the easiest yajna. Nama Sankirtana. That will please all the demigods. You are receiving something, you should be grateful, you should be praising them little bit, right, for what they are giving. They'll be happy to serve you, right? For example, you are taking everything from your boss, but you don't give your output. Will he be happy? He'll not be happy. So we need to have mutual understanding, mutual respect for each other. So that's what this verse is talking, right? Yeah. Even how are these devatas empowered? They are also praying to the Supreme Lord. Just like we can pray, even they also pray. So this verse speaks about that. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stuvanti Divyaistai Vedai Sangapada Kramopanishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga. So they're singing beautifully the glories of the Supreme Lord. Who are they? Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Rudra, Maruta. So they're all praying to the Supreme Lord in various prayers. Surasura Gana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. They're all praying to you all the time. Now let's see the difference between Devatas and Bhagavan, right? Devatas are many. Sometimes people misunderstand Hinduism means there are multiple gods. That is how people think. That is a misunderstanding. Actually, there is only one God. Who is that? Krishna, as per the definition of scriptures, Vedas. All the demigods are like, so there is one president and there are so many ministers. These are like ministers in charge of various affairs. That's all the devatas are. So devatas are many, Bhagavan is one. Devatas are part and parcel of God. Bhagavan is the supreme whole. Devatas are created by the Supreme. Bhagavan is the supreme creator. Devatas are delegated with various grades of power, just like ministers, to manage the affairs of material creation. Bhagavan is the supreme controller. We discussed this. Devatas are dependent. Bhagavan is independent, right? He is Ajitaha. He is supremely independent. Everyone is attracted to God. Yad yad ubhita matsattvam Srimad urjitameva cha tat tat eva vagachatvam mama tejosma sambhavam. So Krishna describes various opulences in Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter. Hey, I am this, I am that, I am the best of everything, like that he describes this. And then at the end he says, know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations in this existence, whatever you see the most beautiful, it springs but from a spark of me, my splendor. Everything beautiful you see, we should see Krishna behind all of that. Right? So everything, the beautiful flower you see, you should see Krishna's hand behind that. Right? So everything that exists beautifully or manifest in this world in a opulently, you see a rich person, he is rich only because he has the blessing of God. Without the blessing of God, nobody has anything in this existence. Understand? He is not independently great. Nobody is independently great. Through his karma or whatever, he is bestowed temporarily. Right? So everything opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. Yeah. Devatas are subordinate to the will of the Supreme. Bhagavan is supremely independent. Devatas have material bodies and subjected to birth, old age, disease, and death. Bhagavan, like our body is subjected to all these four changes. Similarly, Devatas' bodies are also subjected to those. Bhagavan's body, Krishna's body is fully spiritual. It's not material. It's not like us. It has no birth, no old age, no disease, no death. Devatas pose, they're like pose, like ministers, right? So they are temporary pose. But Krishna is, is eternally the same, right? So what about us? So we discussed the relation between Devatas and God. Now let's discuss the relation between us and God, right? First of all, the question is, do you want to be God? We can never become God, right? No. Or do you want to serve God? You want to serve God or you want to be God? Serve God. That's the right proposition. Yeah. Can I become God? No. Then what? Can I ever become God? No. We are not gods. We are but gods. Apostrophe is there. We are property of God. So we will never become God. There is no hope of becoming God. Yeah. So now let's see the differences between living entities and God. Living entities are many. God is one. Living entity is part and parcel of God. God is the complete whole, right? Living entity is Anu, infinitesimal. God is infinite, Vibhu. His existence is everywhere. For example, our body, the soul exists. I can pinch you and you will immediately know, because the soul's consciousness is spread only within the body, right? God is the soul of existence. Means anything happens in this existence, God knows. He's like the soul of it. Just like you have a soul within this body, and through that, because of the existence of soul, you can understand anything that happens within your body, right? Similarly, God is the soul of existence. Right? So, living entity is cognizant of one's body. God is cognizant of everyone and everything. Right? Living entity is subordinate controller. You are also controller. Your husband is controller of this home, for example, right? But or your office, your manager, right? But God is the supreme controller of all that exists. Right? Living entity is dependent on Lord. God is supremely independent. Living entities is a loving servant. God is an eternally loving master. That's the difference. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Right? Everything emanates from me. You can see in this picture. One time Krishna eats a little bit of sand, mud, and Mother Yashoda opens his mouth because he says, I didn't eat anything. When he opens, the whole universe is seen in his mouth. Right? And Mother Yashoda, and she sees herself and Krishna also in that in that existence. So she falls down. Yeah. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Right? So our inherent nature is Jivera Swarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Eternal nature of the living entity is to be the servant of God. So we'll be happy when we serve God. Right? When we compete with God, we'll not be happy. Yeah. Bahunam janmana mante jnanamam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many lifetimes, one will understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then how do you connect with God? Right? You understand the relationship with you, the living entity, and God. You understand the demigod and the relation with God for them. Now, you want to develop relationship with God. So the process is called yoga. Yoga is a process of connecting the soul with the super soul or the Supreme Lord. Yoga is the process of linkage to the Supreme. Because that is when you truly become satisfied in this existence. Right? You have to connect with the Supreme. Right now, in the material existence, we want to dominate the matter. So we have two choices. We are the Tatastha Sakti. Either we can dominate the matter or we can subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Two choices. You can be the servant of the person higher to you, or you be the master of the matter, material nature. But matter is also energy of God. So it is very difficult to dominate nature also. It's not that easy. And people suffer a lot in the process. In fact, actually, matter dominates us most of the time. But living entity has the nature to dominate. That nature exists. Because that nature, the controller nature, the living entity, from Krishna only we get that. But we misuse that. Right? Yeah. So yoga is the process so that we can connect back to our true nature, right? So, yeah. So this is the overall topic. So the yoga process is described in the next next discussion, right? So in brief, we discussed these things. Recap: who is God? We asked who is God, who is supreme, light, power, or a person? None of that. He is actually a person, but the supreme person. Right? we discussed about how just like universal government has many departments, man-made government has many departments. Similarly, universal government has many departments. Just like man-made government is under a president, universal government is under the ordinance of Supreme Lord. Yeah. And we discussed about the nature of God. He is everywhere. God is in you and me in the form of Paramatma. But he also retains his own nature as Bhagavan, right? Just like some planet. Yeah. And the definition of God is he is the supreme proprietor, controller, enjoyer, and source of everything. And we saw how Krishna is the source of everything. And another definition of Bhagavan is he is the full in six opulences, right? Riches, fame, beauty, strength, knowledge, and renunciation. And he's not just a person with all these opulences, he's also the sweetest person, most loving and lovable person, best friend, son, and lover. And who are Devatas? Devatas are the in charge of various universal departments, and they are subordinate to the Supreme Lord. And what is our relation with God? We are not gods, we are actually God's property, right? We are Anu, right? We are very small. Our inherent nature truly is to serve God, right? We are not God, we are gods. Yoga is the process to re-establish our relationship with God. Any questions? Now the floor is open for questions. Yes, boss. Yeah. Krishna is the, yeah, Krishna is the, yeah, that is within the material world. But even incarnations of, we saw the incarnations, all of them also are expansions of Krishna only. Oh, yeah, they all fall in the demigods. Yeah, they are much lower actually.
Why Brahma is
Hmm?
called the creator?
Hmm?
Why Brahma is called the creator?
He is a secondary creator.
Secondary means
Secondary means the first creation is just like an engineer, right? What can an engineer do? He can do construction, but for him to construct anything, he need to have all the raw materials, right? So all the raw materials are already supplied to him. If you study Srimad Bhagavatam second canto, all the prototype forms exist. And from there, Brahma actually creates the universe, manifests the universe. So he is called the engineer. It's called Visarga. The process of secondary creation is called Visarga. Sarga means the primary creation. Yeah. So if you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, from the navel of Mahavishnu comes a lotus in which the Brahmaji appears, and Brahmaji manifests the secondary creation. Right? So all the raw materials are already supplied. So that is called Sarga. Sarga is the primary creation, first creation. And then Brahma actually places the living entities according to their karma. So there are higher living entities, lower. There are 14 planetary systems, right? Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, lower planets. And there are Bhu, Bhuvar, Swarga, and then Tapa, Jana, Brahmaloka. They are the higher planets. And based on karma, residences are provided for various living entities in all these according to one's karma. So in this way, existence is secondarily created by Brahma. Yeah. Any other questions online? Any other questions here? Yeah, Lord Venkatesha. He is a Vishnu incarnation. He is an incarnation. So Krishna is Vishnu Tattva. Vishnu Tattva. And all the incarnations like Rama, Narsimha, Vamana, all these are also Vishnu incarnate, Vishnu Tattvas. Vishnu Tattva is a different Tattva, nature. Tattva means nature, right? Vishnu category, you can say.
Vishnu Avatar.
They're all similar type, but it's like, suppose there are say 100 lamps. You light up 100 lamps, but there is one source lamp that lights up 100 other lamps. Once lighted up, everything looks the same, functions the same light, same everything. You can't really distinguish in its function, but one is the source of the others. So that is how we understand the source, the one source, the Supreme Lord is Krishna, and all the other incarnations, as per the definitions of Gita and others, everyone else is like an expansion of the same, right? So that is Vishnu in expansions. And within the material existence, the jivas themselves were empowered to perform certain function. Like Indra is actually a post. Indra is like a role, like a Ministry of Defense is like Indra. Indra is a post. The current Indra's name is Purandara. Purandara is the Indra's name. The current so every Manvantara, all these posts change. Manvantara is a span of almost, I think, about 2 crore years or so, something like that. It's a very long span. But every Manvantara, all these demigods who are in charge, ministry, they are like owning certain ministries. Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Agni, the ministers will change. There are 13 Manvantaras within one day of Brahma. And with one day of Brahma is like 1,000 Chaturyugas. It's a very large cycle. Like Brahmaji lives for 411 trillion years. Our human scale is nothing actually. Yeah. So Vedas describe to that depth the wisdom, right?
So actually, Balaji is
And-
Mahavishnu.
Huh?
Mahavishnu.
Who?
Balaji.
Balaji is Vishnu incarnation. He is considered Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. He is Mahavishnu, from him comes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, from him comes Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Mahavishnu is from whom all the universes span out. And within each universe, the same Mahavishnu expands and he becomes the soul of the universe, each universe. And within that, he lies in the Garbha ocean, and from him comes the lotus sprouts, and in that Brahma incarnates. And the same Vishnu, Mahavishnu, expands into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, one per universe. And within the universe, again, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu expands into Kshirodakshaya Vishnu as Paramatma within the heart of all of us. Within all of us, there is Paramatma form of the Lord, right? And he is the guiding force for all of us, right? So, in fact, the way the body operates is, it's like a car, right? You press the accelerator, you don't know how the whole body of car is moving, right? So similarly, the Atma, there is Atma within the soul, the real person that is existing, and there is Paramatma, that is the guide, the God's part that exists within us. The soul desires, I want to lift my hand. I expressed my desire. The soul expressed. The body is not in my control, the soul's control. It's not in the soul's control. It is in the control of Paramatma. Paramatma is the driving force within my body. It's like the accelerator that controls the car chassis, right? The Paramatma controls the nature, the matter, the energy. And Paramatma, if I have the karma, means I have the karmic background to lift the hand. For example, somebody has, his hands, what do you call, paralyzed, right? If hand is paralyzed, he can't lift a hand. He may desire, he may command, I want to lift my hand. Paramatma doesn't sanction because karmically he is not eligible to lift the hand. So in this way, the whole thing, we think we are doing everything. Actually, it is Paramatma who is orchestrating the material nature. The body is just what? It's just a matter. It has no life actually. Body has no life. The body is activated by the soul, the self, the true, the spiritual part of our life, and guided by the Paramatma within the heart. And he is actually overseeing everything that is happening in our life. Okay? He is the guiding force. Until we go back to God, Paramatma is going to accompany in various forms of life, the same Paramatma. You go to the form of animal, he accompanies there. So he's the constant. Who is our true friend actually? God within us, the Paramatma that is within us, who accompanies us to all forms of life. That's why he is considered Suhridam Sarva Bhutana, the best well-wishing friend of all living entities. So he continues to be with us. So that's why he is called our true father. Why? Because everybody else leaves us within this lifetime. Our father, mother will leave us within lifetime. But he is the true father. He accompanies until, because he loves us. Why he is doing all this? Because he loves us. Right? Because of his love for us. Just like, for example, a billionaire is there. A billionaire's son, he says, Daddy, I don't want to be with you. I want to go my way. And father knows this boy doesn't know anything. He's just a young boy. He's a 10-year-old. But he hates God. He hates his father. So he wants to go away. But because father loves him, he always makes sure there is some assistant who is always following. For example, boy says, Daddy, I want to go on cycle from here to next village. Father says, no, it's not good for you. But child would not listen. But finally he goes. Then what does father do? He will arrange his servant to go behind in a car. The servant goes and he doesn't, he silently goes, because if child knows, then he will not accept. He's already against his father. So God arranges all of this for us like that. And we are not turning towards God. And suddenly he becomes thirsty, sunny, and he thinks that, why did I leave my father? I was so happy in my home. Now I'm suffering in this. Everybody's position is like that in this world. Everybody is suffering. Suffering is why suffering is there? It's a reminder that I have to be with my original father. I have to go back to my father. Suffering is created in this existence as a reminder. Pain is created. Suppose my leg is cut, I'll get so much pain. If there is no pain, then I lose my leg. I better have pain. I'll fix it as soon as something is cut. Right? So pain is a reminder for us, so that we think about our origins. Right? So this whole manifestation is existing because we desire to be independent of God. Okay, God sent us in this place so that, okay, we wanted to be independent of God. So he sent us here. Try to be independent and be as happy as you want. So we come here. But the problem is every one of us came in the same spirit. I want to be the best enjoyer here. So there is so much competition. If everybody comes with the same mindset, there is going to be competition. So that's why there is so much competition in this world. Everyone wants to be the number one. Because this is the spirit with which we came, giving up God from the Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. Now we come here, we compete with each other. Because of that spirit, we can't really be happy in this world. And the whole situation is such that we all go through a short life here. There's so much suffering in this world. We don't get what we want most of the time. There is scarcity, limited resources, unlimited desires in everybody. So in this way, the whole existence is created such that nobody is truly satisfied. by the facilities that exist. It's only created such that we connect to our original source and go back to that original source. The whole thing is manifest that way, right? It's by design. There is suffering in this existence. It's by design. You can't really fix it. You can improve material conditions, but the real problems will continue to manifest in various ways. See, in the past, people were suffering from physical needs. There is hunger problem. There is no good shelter for a lot of people. Now maybe countries have become rich, right? At least in the countries like America, the basic needs are solved. Now the problems have elevated to the mental level, right? Problems from physical level. Actually, physical level problems are easy to handle. Now, mental level, the anxiety, depression, suicidal tendencies, they're more difficult to handle. There is more egoistic problems, more competitive attitudes, right? So it's manifest in different form. Problems cannot be taken away from this material existence. So the only solution is to align, to live in harmony with God. That is the only true solution for peaceful existence in this world. Right? So if we align with God, we succeed in everything, right? So Arjuna, Pandavas are 5, but they have Krishna with them. Kauravas are 100 and they have far more people to help them, right? Many more Akshohinis of soldiers with them, but the destiny is not with them. Krishna is not with them. So naturally they fail. So wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, Arjuna means represents the devotee, right? So there is always victory, opulence, morality, right? So without God, we are like zero. With God, we become infinite. Right? Add God in your life. That is a lesson of this today's lesson. So any other questions or any other discussion points?
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhu.
My name is Paitapan Kesadas, Prabhuji.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Any possibility for supply the material in a nutshell, Prabhuji, after completing the sessions?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I'll share you right now. Why delay?
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. You are from India, Prabhu, AP.
Prabhuji. Oh, you are from AP?
AP, at the same time, we are devotees of the, we are taking initiation from the Jayapada Swami Maharaj.
Oh, very nice, Prabhu.
ISKCON Rajahmundry devotees.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Nice meeting you. So I have a lot of material, but this material is here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can share in the WhatsApp.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Let me share in this Zoom call if you want to.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay.
You can copy the link. You can click the link.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining today.
Thank you.
Oh, WhatsApp. I can share.
Only 4 or 3 people.
Yeah, I'll share with you. You can share in the... Yeah. Thank you all for joining today. Hare Krishna.